First thing you got to keep in mind is when the new president comes in, the new president can walk in with a stack of papers this high, uh, called executive orders, and sit down, literally right after the inauguration, and just start signing them and change the economy overnight. Why? Because the president doesn't have to ask permission for a whole lot of stuff. The president can just declare the Pentagon will XYZ PDQ, and we're off to the races. So if he wants to order solar panels up on the Pentagon, if he wants to order that X percentage of all the cars will have to be super fuel efficient, that the federal government buy, he has a lot of discretion, a lot of power, and can use all that for good. So there's that. That's that. And there's something called the Presidential Commission on Climate, PCAP, Presidential Climate Action Project, that is focused on the things the president can do in the first 100 days that make a difference. But fundamentally, there are two big things the president needs to focus on. One is getting a price on carbon, whether it's a carbon tax or it's cap and trade. We've got to get the price signals going so the whole world knows that we're moving off of carbon. And the other thing is this clean energy smart grid, this massive program to get clean energy produced and distributed everywhere in the country, so that people can plug in their cars. We shouldn't be burning anything. We should be able to plug our cars into a clean energy grid. The next president needs to have that as a key thing going forward. Let me say one more thing about that. There are some creative solutions as well. One of my favorite things is in the book. Is what I call hoopties for hybrids. If you're a young person, you know the word hoopty is a slang term for an old gas guzzling car or clunker car. So cash for clunkers or hoopties for hybrids. What would that mean? That would mean you have all these people, mostly low-income people. They're stuck with these cars that use up a tremendous amount of gas. Give them the right to drive down to City Hall anywhere in the country, turn in the keys. We junk that car, we take that car off the road, and we give them a federally guaranteed loan. Not money, but a federal guarantee for a loan they go get, like a student loan, and let them purchase a fuel-efficient car. We say, well, why would the government do that? Well, number one, you're retiring a whole fleet of gas guzzlers, which should alleviate some of the greenhouse gas emissions. Number two, you're helping people who may be stranded in suburbs, downscale suburbs, and they literally cannot drive into work, or can't even drive in for a job interview. You're helping them. But number three, you're doing something a lot smarter than that. You're cutting the demand for gas, because those gas guzzling cars are so thirsty for gas that they push up the demand for gas, which pushes up the price for everybody. If you get those cars off the road, you drop the price of gas for everybody, because in aggregate, you've reduced the demand for gas. So those kinds of solutions, which help poor people, which help the economy, which help the earth, are the kinds of solutions that an innovative president could get done, and we have a whole section of those kinds of policies in the book. The low-hanging fruit for mayors in the United States is massive weatherization and energy retrofit for their buildings. If you think about how can you get the biggest bang for your buck short term to reduce carbon, weatherize every major building in your city, make them 30% more efficient, so they use 30% less power. Well, if you're using a coal-fired power plant, that's 30% less emissions right there, and you also create a bunch of jobs. This is not just a good thing to do for future generations. It's a good thing to do right now. We're about to go into a very harsh winter. And in that harsh winter, energy prices are going to be sky high. If you thought people were screaming and complaining about gas prices in the summer, wait until you see what happens to people, especially in the Northeast, with home fuel prices in the winter. You can leave your car parked. You can't leave your house parked. You're going to have people having to choose between warm meals and warm homes. And the idea of this next hurricane, we can see it coming. The next hurricane is already coming. It's this home heating crisis. We're doing nothing about it. And yet the idea that we could actually take our idled construction workers, who right now have no work, our carpenters who right now have no work, and put them to work weatherizing and solarizing and retrofitting the homes of low-income people and people across the country, vulnerable people, should be appealing to a mayor. How do you pay for it? Well, it pays for itself in energy savings. You need some creative financing. You need to be able to work with your local utility, but you should be able to, get the job done of at least weatherizing the most vulnerable homes, so that we can bring their energy bills down and keep them warm through the winter. And that should be the first thing it should be the last thing that the president does, George Bush, and the first thing the new president does is focus on a massive program for weatherization and retrofits of buildings across the country to bring down energy bills, to bring down carbon emissions, to bring up jobs, to bring up home values, and to put people back to work.